off until I ask.
Okay.
So, great. Well, thanks for everybody for joining in on this Lunch and Learn with Acumatica. So we'll just dig right in. So this slide, yesterday when I was working on this presentation, I thought it'd be nice to have a graphic on this first slide. So I started sort of creating it manually, and then I asked ChatGPT to create a visual for this Lunch and Learn. And this is what it came up with as the visual. So yeah, somebody's having lunch. You see Acumatica sort of misspelt a little bit. You see the cloud over here and all the dashboards and so on, and people working away on their tablets and laptops and so on. So yeah, ChatGPT offered four different versions of this slide. It was generated. It took me, the ChatGPT took about a minute to generate this. Interesting. So looking at our agenda today, we have introductions, and I want to talk a little bit about why we chose Acumatica, the reasons we picked it as our go-forward ERP type product. We're going to take a guided tour. Munsell is here from Acumatica, a Q&A, and then conclude with the action. So welcome, fellow learners. Here's some of the people, and I may have missed some people that are on the call, but welcome everybody to this Lunch and Learn. Really want to use this as a learning type session. Sit back, no stress, relax, and learn a little bit more about Acumatica. So from the Acumatica team, welcome. We have Munsell and Staci. They'll introduce themselves as when their demo comes up. And welcome the Britec team. Here's some of the people that are on the call. A couple people are on marketing. Hey, everybody knows Emmy, Alexandra, Douglas, Kieran, Manpreet. They're on the corporate side, marketing, sales, and HR. So we went out and looked at Acumatica a couple of years ago. As you know, we've been doing Sage for quite a long time. Even before it was Sage, we've been working with the product. And so we went out and dug in, and we're always doing research, and we're always analyzing things out in the as technology revolutions happen. So we've been out, we're always meeting with our colleagues and going out to conferences and so on. And here we are. We're at here's Amy and Sanaya at the Acumatica conference. At the Acumatica conference this year, I was part of a hackathon team. Not to brag or anything, but we came in first as a hackathon. Here's some people that are from the US. This fellow over here is from the Philippines. From Montreal, another person from Sri Lanka. And we're at the CES show earlier this year as well. We're just trying to learn as much as we can about the technology and the trends and what's going on with the products that we're working with, and with the customers, what they'll need in the future and what they need today, and meeting with like-minded colleagues and so on, trying to learn. So in Acumatica, we look at it and we say, well, why Acumatica? Well, one of the things is the platform. So we come from a technical background. So I come from a very technical background, and I look at things more from a technical perspective first, and then look at it from the business and sales perspective. So first is the platform. We have 12 foundations that we can look at on this platform. And all these things sort of met our criteria in terms of what we're looking for, ability to do, have a secure system in terms of users, authentication into the system, integration with web, a mobile type framework. Surprisingly, when you give somebody an accounting ERP type application on mobile, quite a bit of work gets done there, and they sort of get dependent on that mobile device to work with it. Be able to do reporting and analytics. The trend this decade is starting off to be on AI, so be able to look at that and have this in the platform, and this is what the Acumatica is built on these different foundations. So next was industry-specific additions and being modular. So software code written with domain knowledge. It takes years and years to take domain expertise and knowledge and implementations and build that into the software as part of the options or configurations that can happen. And as the use of the software is, taking place with the users, to have that software that runs with it. So we're talking, it's all software running. It interfaces with hardware, but it's essentially software. And we have these different editions that Acumatica has built. There are 5 editions here. And then the different modules that are best in class: financial management, customer management. These are all integrated Acumatica products. And so incorporating all this domain knowledge into the software, testing it, deploying it, and so on, takes a lot. So here we are with Acumatica. It has all this with it. A customer bill of rights. One of the very few companies in the world that has a customer bill of rights. It's very clear, and of course, my research shows that they actually at Acumatica follow this and try to be, with the customer and making sure the customers are covered at all times. The technical roadmap. So in terms of looking at the entire Acumatica product is being rewritten in .NET Core, releasing early next year. So on the technical side, it's covered. I'm not sure if you realize or know, but in the back end, a lot of the programming languages that Microsoft had in the past are being discontinued at the end of 2026. And so a lot of people are starting to rewrite or convert their programs to .NET Core. And here we are. Acumatica's got this covered. It's releasing early next year. They've been in testing and in alpha, beta testing with their new UI architecture, and releasing it early next year for the users. So in terms of AI, they released 3 AI applets to run. They don't run automatically. They can be scheduled to run, but more AI is coming into the product. And as you can see, some of the functions that we do in accounting, in the field as well, can be done by AI. And we've got 2 major releases coming every year with Acumatica. There's a way to release it that doesn't break anything. There's a way to test everything, release it, and upgrade automatically. So nobody is less than 3 versions behind on the Acumatica side. It has a robust integration abilities. So there's APIs that we can write to, so that if we have a system that's outside of Acumatica, using the API calls, we can connect and streamline the business processes as well. Ownership of data. So Acumatica backs up all the transactional data, so protecting it from protection and disaster recovery. That's when it's in the SaaS model. It's running in an Amazon cloud, and this is what it covers. They're backing it up, and there's a quick recovery procedure from there, and there's an SLA that guarantees uptime. Data security, so adheres to all the GDPR guidelines. Everybody's data is stored in a separate database. It has an intrusion system hosted on AWS in the cloud. This is something that we really vetted out to make sure that every customer data would be protected as it was stored. And it's in the back end, it's stored as a SQL server. And we know a lot about SQL as we support the SQL server quite a bit in the current environment. And so everything's there protected from that side. So it's encompassing the entire business software for every user. Now, this is very key in that a lot of the traditional licenses that are sold with ERP are user license based. So this user can do this. They can do financials. This user can, run an order entry and inventory and so on. But it's all user license based, which limits the application of the program in the organization. So with the Acumatica licensing model, every user becomes part of the system. And as time has progressed and technology has progressed, everybody does something that's involved in the process of a business, whether it be in the field or whether it be in whatever. So what we're saying is that in Acumatica, we're covering the entire business for every user in terms of the licensing model. It's not user license based. It's based on the amount of transactions that are running through. And we can scale Acumatica to 100,000 transactions per month, and then we're talking about commercial transactions. So the UI itself has won awards, and it gets a 4.5-star rating. So I talked a little bit about all users being involved. Yeah, through the mobile app and the browser on a desktop or a tablet, everybody can get involved, and they're part of the business that they involve themselves with in terms of transaction or events are being recorded, where it's being time logging or field logging of some sort, construction, warehouse, back office, remote work. Everything can be, everybody can be tied into the same program. And of course, with the security and the role models, role-based security, then everybody can have their part of Acumatica and work with it directly, whether it be looking up a file, being part of a workflow, approving a purchase order, or looking over an invoice, approving a payment. Everything's can be stored and digitized within Acumatica. We have the ability to have comprehensive dashboards, and so everything can be dashboard, and this gives great real-time analytics. As I enter a purchase order, receive a purchase order, receive the cost, receive the inventory, all the numbers can be updated real time. So orders come in, immediately it's updated on the dashboard, how many orders came in, cash coming in. All this is, there's dashboards that are given out of the box, and then the dashboards can also be customized for the user. User logs in, looks at the dashboards. The entire Acumatica system is searchable. So you see a little search bar here. It's hard to read, but I can search for anything within the Acumatica system. It will find it, tell me there's like 15 things that match, and I can click on it and go right to that transaction or right to that file if it was an attachment of some sort. So very comprehensive in being able to look at information and analyze it. And Acumatica is one product, one Acumatica right around the world. It's one Acumatica. People run the same, maybe running different editions. Some people are running 2 editions. Like for example, you might be a distributor, but they're running manufacturing. or they're manufacturing, but they need project job costing. It's one Acumatica and it's one community. And we like that. There's no unfocused different divisions. We have some companies that have several ERP products, or they have other product lines. But with Acumatica, it's one product line, and that's it. Everything you meet, everybody you meet at the Acumatica, community is all focused on one product, and we like that a lot. So I'm going to turn it over for a guided tour to Munsell, and he'll take you through a few of the Acumatica screens and show you some of the things you can do with it, probably at a high level, and give you a good breadth of Acumatica. Munsell, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, it's going to be Staci and myself. We're going to spice up your day a little bit at lunchtime. Hopefully you're not getting too sleepy, after enjoying your quesadilla or your hamburger or maybe something other healthy that you had. We're going to do a little role playing here. So I'm going to play the role of somebody coming up with Staci and I have we've been into a number of those summits that Roger's talked about, and often we're there and somebody will come up to us and ask us some questions. So here's some of the kind of things that we've had people come up to us before and ask, and then we're going to kind of play that out so you get a flavor for where Acumatica is. So Staci, let me know when you're ready there. Looks like you got your kiosk, you're getting logged in.
Yep, I'm ready to go.
Well, here's one that comes to us quite a bit. We had somebody come to us at Summit, and they basically said, I'm the controller of my company, and I start every day. I come in and I have to sort through all of my emails. I have tasks lists that I have to sort through. I got sticky notes all over my monitor. And I've got a inbox of things that I'm trying to keep track of. One of the things that's critical for me to keep track of in our current environment is I'm spending way too much time reviewing invoices, looking at past due AR balance, and specifically for me, checking my cash balance and making sure that I've got that all in place. So tell me a little bit about how Acumatica can help me out there, because I'm spending too much of my time of my day doing that.
Excellent. Great. That's a very common question. We definitely see lots of people approach us there at the summit and ask questions like that. And so I'm going to go ahead. You can see here that I'm on the landing page of Acumatica and I'm logging in. The first thing about Acumatica is that we are a role-based system. We have secure logins, and every single user is going to come in and they're going to land on their home dashboard. And Roger just did an excellent job showing some examples of that. So let's go ahead and dig into that just a little bit further. So you can see here in my right-hand corner that I've logged in today as Maxwell Baker. Now, Maxwell Baker is probably somebody in a finance role. I've landed on the controller dashboard. So Munsell, to your question about being the controller, having a responsibility for certain things, you could see here on the dashboard, when you log in and you come into work each day, one of the great things about Acumatica is the way that we use the dashboards and that we show you that relevant, important information so that when you come in each day, you've got the opportunity to act upon the items that are here in front of you. So you could see that cash on hand. You're worried about that. You don't have to go out to your bank or to your general ledger and look that up. You're going to have it right here on your dashboard. In addition to that, you're going to see what total AR looks like, maybe what some of your overdue AR is. What's also incredibly efficient, and one of the reasons that Acumatica has such a high customer satisfaction score is because of the ease and the usability and the flexibility of the system itself. So I can very easily click on any one of these items and it'll bring me right back to the source of that data. So if I want to understand that overdue AR, if I click on that widget there, it's going to go ahead and give me a list of what makes up that overdue AR, as opposed to having to go to Excel or go over to receivables, run an aging, export it to Excel, sort it. I want to just go ahead and get those top numbers. I very easily can filter something like that. When I come back into my workspace, I can click on my logo up here in the corner and it brings me right back to that top level where maybe I can then go ahead and dig into the next item or whatnot. Another dashboard that's very, very user-friendly and very relatable here is that, you know, we all have finance departments, we all have accounts payable, and we all have a lot of things that we're trying to keep track of. One of probably the most important things about some of that those efficiencies and helping you with your productivity within your business is that we have approval workflows. Lots of customers who don't use them today but wish they had them. They take those original packets of paper and they send them around the office and say, I'm waiting for Bill to approve these invoices or Joe to approve these purchase orders or whatever it might be, that whatever their application is. Here in the accounts payable space, now your accounts payable specialist can see how many documents are out there waiting to be approved. So instead of trying to walk around the building or remembering who you gave what and trying to track those documents and those original papers down, you can very easily see here that maybe this says 6. And now I can click on that, get a list of those 6 items, and then pick up the phone or send an email to those folks and say, I've got a check run coming up in 2 days, and I need you to get those documents approved and back to me, or just approved in the system, and they physically didn't need to see the actual documents. There's nothing to turn into me at all. But again, looking at way these dashboards can serve each of your roles and give you the insight to the things that you need to track down, you need to do, that's going to go ahead and give you some great efficiencies there. And then again, I talked about that role-based system. Remember, each user is going to have their own login. They're going to have their own landing spot. They're going to be able to design and configure their dashboards to give them the metrics that they need. But also, they're only going to have access to the information that you give them. So again, think about those secure logins and those permissions. If you want them to have viewable access, editable access, or maybe no access at all. But Munsell, these dashboards are definitely going to help you track down those items that you're looking for and trying to keep track of each day.
That is awesome. That's exactly what I was hoping to see, because it is kind of spend a lot of time doing that right now. You know, something else that you covered kind of got me thinking as well. Right now in my current system, seems like we spend a lot of time searching for data. I mean, I feel like my employees have gotten like really good at using the system that we've got right now, but the steps that they have to go through to find something, they almost are like, you know, they're like detectives. I mean, how they have to dig in there and find stuff, and it just seems a lot harder. I just wish it was easier. Yes, for example, like the other day, we had this really large invoice for this particular. It was you know, a couple weeks old, and we just, for the life of us, it just took us forever to find it. So, you know, and what you know, we would love to see something in Acumatica and make that life a little bit easier for us, just searching for data.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, Roger actually mentioned that universal search feature up here in the top of our screen. Let me start with that and then just kind of embellish on that a little bit further. So here under this universal search, this is a numeric and an alphanumeric field. So you could type anything in here. Now, one of the examples we like to use is 1099s, only because that's something we only do once a year. Maybe you've taken on Acumatica and you've never done 1099s before in Acumatica, or it's just you haven't touched it for a year and you're just not sure where to go. So if I typed in 1099, again, the system's going to do that search. It's going to bring back every menu item in the system that's going to have a 1099 within its name configuration. Additionally, if I don't know what to do even with this list, I could come over to our help topics here, and this is going to go ahead and give me some explanation as to what each of these areas do and how to kind of get started. But to build on that a little bit further, you know, 1099, I know I'm looking for the 1099 process that we do in January and the accounts payable side of things. But maybe I picked up the phone today and it was a vendor calling, asking me about invoice number 1099. Or maybe we have a project that we're doing out in the field, and some of the data, it references the project name, which is 1099 Main Street, right? So the system, in addition to giving me all of those menu items, it also gave me all transactions is here as a result of that search. So you can see here that I do have a vendor, I do have a project 1099, I do have an AP bill, an invoice number 1099. I went ahead and cut an AP payment, check number 1099. So again, the system's going to bring back whatever it is that you ask for, but you know what it is that you're looking for. So to your point, Munsell, if somebody had called you up and said, hey, we're looking for a payment on this particular invoice, you could have come to this space and you could have put in the invoice number and you could have tracked it down that way. Maybe you knew that it was an invoice with a particular vendor, or maybe you knew a dollar amount, but you couldn't remember who the vendor was. Again, you could put, $5,000 here, and then that could bring you back some data. Now that would be a little bit harder of a search because there could be $5,000 throughout your database in lots of locations. You'd have lots of things to filter through. So hopefully you've got something a little bit more exact and a little bit more precise, but know again that this search feature is going to serve you in lots of different ways. If you've uploaded some drawings or some files or anything into the system, again, that has 1099 within its name configuration or 5,000 within its name configuration, let me go back to 1099. I didn't mean to get off of that. You can see that I uploaded some files in the system here that actually have 1099 within its name. So if you had drawing files that were 1099 Main Street for that project we talked about, or if you had uploaded a copy of an invoice number, 1099, these files would live here within this file space. And to build on that a little bit further, how many times do we all get interrupted throughout the day, right? And or you're leaving at the end of the day and you need to pick something back up when you come back in the next morning. One of the things is, I know, if I look down at my caller ID, I can see that I did that backwards. 555. Oh, maybe I didn't. I'm trying to set a brain cramp on the phone number I like to use. Okay, so if I come over here to my transactions, yes, I look down on caller ID and I see 212-555. I'm not sure who's calling me, but I answer the phone. Before I've even answered the phone, I've got this up in my search. Somebody's calling me from Alta Ace. It's Amelia calling, and she's calling me because she wants to finish that credit application that we've been working on. Hey, Amelia, how's it going? Great. Can we finish the application so we can extend open terms? Absolutely. Now I've kind of got a heads up on who might be calling, but by clicking right on that customer record, now I can go right to their customer space. I can go ahead and finish that conversation, talk about her application, talk about the information as it relates to her application. I can come to the financial tab. I can go ahead and extend those 30-day terms, and we're good to go. I can also take that application or any of those references that I got back, and I can upload them here to the file section. So that's stored here within that record. And if I had any notes or anything I wanted to add to the customer space, you can see here in the customer space, and this look and feel is very common throughout Acumatica as well. So in the customer space, you're going to have all these, this kind of one-stop shop for everything that relates to this customer. If I was in the vendor space, you'd see very similar tabs here across the middle for any types of information, multi-shipping addresses, multi-billing addresses, who are our contacts, things like that. So that there is our finding data in the system. But additionally, of course, we've always got the ability to run reports, right? And we have those canned reports that come out of these individual workspaces. We have finance reports, payables reports, receivable reports, whatever it might be, project reports. But in the system, there's also another thing called generic inquiries. And what I like to say about that is, if the information lives in Acumatica, you can extract that information. So if there is not a canned report today that gives you the results that you want, it's something you need to create, you come right into this generic inquiry space. You can go ahead and create a new inquiry. I want to use my accounts receivable module. And what do I want to do with it? I want to go ahead and I want to create a report that gives me this data on each column, the type, the number, the date, the customer ID and name, and the dollar amount. And now once I finish building that inquiry, I've got a report that I can use over and over. And I could go ahead and get that whole list of information, and it's right here in one spot. I can export it out to Excel. So to your point, Munsell, you talked about wanting to be able to search for that data by using that field up top, or maybe you want to go ahead and run an inquiry on a particular vendor or something, and then go ahead and get that list, and then hunt and peck through that to go ahead and nail down the item that you were looking for through some type of an inquiry.
Yeah, that certainly seems like a lot more efficient than how I'm currently having to do that. I mean, that's just sums up everything we do in our current system. Seems as though we're spending a lot of time looking for stuff. We're spending a lot of time keying in things that it just seems like you would hope that in this modern day there'd be something like, just for example, the other day I've got my AP clerk, and you know, they're wonderful and they hardly ever make any mistakes. They really hardly ever make any mistakes. But the other day they were, they had to be out. So I had to get in like a temp service to come in, and they just made so many mistakes entering in the AP bills, that we had received. And then when the person came back from medical leave, they just had to spend so much time fixing all of the stuff that the person had done. I got to the point where I was just told the person, just don't enter anything else in. I just basically just sat on a bunch of AP bills for a long time, which obviously wasn't good for, our credit, not paying bills, but I just couldn't have any more errors. So, I mean, is there something in Acumatica that can help us to just do that process more efficiently? And because it seems like we're spending a lot of time keying it in, and I don't want to have to hire two people that to just key
Absolutely.
in AP bills.
Yeah. So of course, there's some basic functionality within our accounts payable space where if you were to enter a brand new bill, bills and adjustments, if I were to pick a particular vendor, like let's say our Edison Power bill, when I open up that Edison Power bill, I'm going to show you an older one. It's good. You're going to go ahead and you're going to assign to that vendor, back in that vendor space, just like we saw the customer space, we're going to assign the GL number that we want those invoices to go to. That will alleviate some of that problem, right? So your temp didn't know, doesn't know your chart of accounts, doesn't know how you folks break things down. So in this particular case, some of that work could have been done for that individual just by putting in the vendor and the system knowing innately where it should be getting charged. So some of the errors that you were experiencing were certainly GL accounts. So that can be done for you and default on that. In addition to that, this is going to kind of segue a little bit here. If I were to enter in any bills into the system and I needed to charge it to any of our, maybe we're a multi-company or a multi-branch location type company, maybe multi-product lines. That was something I didn't highlight here for you guys yet. But you can see that that Acumatica is a multi-company, multi-branch, or this could be product lines software. It's already in the system. If you don't need it today, that's great. If you do need it, it's here for you. Or maybe you're going to need it in the future, down the road. Then again, you'll be able to grow with it. It won't limit you. But you can see here that I entered this power bill into 3 individual different branches. When I enter this bill, I have the ability to go ahead and cross over those companies like we were talking about up here. And when I do that, the system automatically does the intercompany transaction for me. It enters the bill, it charges it to each of the utilities within each of the individual branches. But additionally, it does the due to and from my wholesale branch where I'm paying the bill to the other locations where, in fact, I'm absorbing that expense and passing it over to them. That is another item where our customers just absolutely love that functionality. But to talk about that automation and being able to make those improvements within your department, make things smoother, faster. We have a kind of an upgrade to our AP area. It's called incoming documents. And actually this kind of talks a little bit about what Roger was talking about in the beginning of the conversation as well, about the AI functionality and where things are headed these days. So we do have a document recognition feature within Acumatica. This is already here from my demo yesterday. Sorry about that. Let me erase that. So now what I want to show you here is, of course, we all get emails in that come in overnight, and they say attaches a copy of our invoice. Please pay it according to terms. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up that email and I'm going to grab that PDF copy that's attached to my email, and I'm simply going to drop it into Acumatica. When I do that, that's going to scan the document right into Acumatica. I don't have to go over to the photocopier and do a scan or anything like that. I literally dragged that PDF and dropped it right here, and now it's in Acumatica. I can go ahead, and if I have 5 documents that are sitting here, I can click on them all and ask it to recognize a couple of them, all of them. But for demo sakes, I wanted to go ahead and show you what we're doing here. I can go ahead and open up this document. Now you're going to see the document here on the right. And now I'm going to ask the system to do that recognition. It's going to pick up my vendor. It's going to pick up my invoice number, my date. It's going to look for what's on the invoice. What am I buying? So let's go ahead and have the system do that recognition. And now it's going to fill that information in. It's doing that, that AI. And now it's going to fill in my vendor, my date, my invoice number, my dollar amount, and the 10 cases of copy paper at $25 a piece. And that's here in the body of the email. Now, if I want to make any changes to this at this time, I can. Nobody's telling me, you know what? They told me it was only going to be $24 a case. So I'm only paying them $24 a case, even though the invoice was $256. Again, you've got the liberties here of making the changes that you want to make. Or you can go ahead and you can keep it at the $25.69, depending on some of the limits. You can also set parameters for, we don't allow 5% over in quantity, 5% over in dollars, whatever it might do. You could set up those preferences as well. But once this is all taken up and brought in and set up, I can hit save and continue. And that's going to bring me back to that accounting space, back in the payable space, that bills and adjustments. Now, if for some reason my vendor did not reference the purchase order number, and this item was tied to a purchase order, I could add the PO receipt here after the fact. I could add the PO. Maybe the receipt was already done in the back warehouse when the paper came in the back door. I can add a PO altogether. I can add the PO receipt. If maybe this is an extra item that we ordered, but I never had it on the original PO line, I can add a PO line. So our system is very forgiving. If in fact some of these items weren't done in the beginning and you kind of need to do them during the process, you can do that. Or more importantly, the entry's been done. If this is now set up to go to be approved by somebody, anytime I have an invoice from Bonafide Office Service, I want it approved by Mike. If it's over $200, I want it to be approved by Mike and by Joe. Whatever it might be, you can have those approvals set up in the system. It would show you here, it would say pending, and we would go ahead, we would take it off hold, then it would be ready to release into the system after it gets approved. So you have a paper trail of that approval that would live there in that space as well. So that is our automation. This can also, that incoming documents can also be tied to your Outlook through an add-in. And then some of that, there's another level of automation that can be added to that if it is linked there as well.
Wow. That's a lot more than I was thinking. That's like, I don't know, it just seems like so much far beyond what we're currently doing right now. I just didn't know that systems nowadays could do these kind of things. Well, now you got my brain really going. I'm gonna throw one way out here on you. I bet you can't do this. This is just kind of be fun. But the other day I was visiting with some family, and my one cousin, he's a controller at a Fortune 500 company. He's so annoying. He's always highlighting all the cool stuff that he can do. And of course, you know, he works for a company that has billions of dollars worth of IT staff, you know, so he was like showing off that he had an expense report and that he could, you know, he was traveling someplace and he just took his expense and he scanned it on his phone and it came over into the system. And he's just rubbing my nose in it, you know, that your puny little Excel-based system that, you know, is cobbled together. And I was like, yeah, I'm a much smaller company. You don't have billions of dollars worth of IT people to make stuff like that happen. So I don't know. I mean, I'm throwing that out there. That just really rubbed me the wrong way. I mean, I can't imagine Acumatica would have anything like that.
Okay. Well, we do.
Oh my
Now,
gosh.
I know that we're running on a Zoom platform here, so I am not sure. Munsell, can you see my phone?
Yes, I can see your phone. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Okay, I wasn't sure if it allowed me to drag it over. Okay, so let's just go ahead and I'm just going to show you one more quick thing here, and then we can turn this back over to Roger and see if there's any other questions in the gallery here. But yes, to answer your question, so Acumatica does have an app, and you can see here that it can be downloaded on your phone. There's both an Apple and an Android version of that. And this is basically what you're going to see on your particular workspace is exactly what you're going to see here in your on your tablet or on your phone. Of course, we don't have as much real estate, right, when we're looking at our phone. So we can edit the screen and only have the features and the functions that we might use remotely. But to your point, you know, there's so many companies nowadays that have folks out on the road. Maybe they're working remotely, or maybe like project managers, construction foremen, things like that. If they've got to manage some of these expense reports, we have some functionality in the system where I can come right into my mobile device. I can go ahead and say I want to do time and expenses. And now I want to go ahead and capture an expense receipt. When I open this up, it's going to give me a list of all of my past receipts, but I'm going to hit the camera down here and I'm going to ask it to take a picture. I'm sitting in my car perhaps, and I've got this right on the gas receipt or whatever it might be, right on my dashboard. Or right on my steering wheel there, and I snap a quick picture and I hit done. Now the system is doing that recognition feature again, looking for where I was, what was the date, how much did I spend, and if it can make the decision as to where I was and what doing, it did recognize that I had lunch or dinner. So there's the Happy Family Restaurant. I was there on the 13th. I spent $134 and it was lunch. I can also come down here into the details section, and I can specify whether or not I used the corporate company card or whether or not this was on my personal card and I need to be reimbursed. Or if this was the company card, again, the company card, but this will then feed into that reconciliation in the background so that when we get the company card bill from Chase or Amex or wherever, then we're going to be able to have those transactions already logged into the system. So that's a whole nother discussion, but just to know that the system does differentiate that. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Then once all my receipts are in for the day, for the week, for the month, however I want to do, I would create a claim. And I'm going to come right into my claims and I'm going to say, I want to go ahead and start a new claim. I'm going to hit plus on the bottom. And now I'm going to grab those receipts, add receipts. And it's going to show me all of the receipts that are available to me to be claimed. So I'm going to grab all of these and I'm going to go ahead and hit the check mark at the bottom. And now I'm going to submit my claim for, these are the ones that are left over that I didn't grab. Maybe these are part of a business trip that I want to lump into another claim. So I'm just going to sneak back out of here. This particular claim that I created, added up my receipts. And now under my description, I'm just going to go ahead and say, use my voice to text. Gas for the company truck, Gatorade for shop workers, and lunch with new client. Go ahead and save that. I submit that. So now that particular expense report, I guess I didn't save it. If I come back over here to time and expenses back in my workspace itself, you're going to see here where I manage those expenses and those receipts. If I go ahead and click on that receipt.
Oh, there it is. I see it. New Happy Family Restaurant right
there's
there.
the family restaurant that I just uploaded. Whoop, come on. And then if I come back over here, I could then click this and this and this if I wanted to create the claim here on my desktop, or like I was just doing on my mobile device where I was creating the claim and checking all the receipts that I wanted. I could say, no, I want you to claim those. And it would go ahead and grab them and make them part of this claim here that I would submit to my boss for approval. And then it would become part of the accounts payable system.
Well, that's amazing.
Yeah, and just to build on that a little bit further, Munsell, I mean, there, like I said, there's a lot of things you can do on the mobile app if you're somebody that's working out in the field and you you know, there's a project issue, one of the subcontractors damages something, you can go into the projects, you can create an issue, you can snap a photo. And that's just that real-time collaboration between field and office to field, whether it's project issues, it's expense reports, it's time cards, whatever it might be. Or maybe it's just a task you want to put on your list of things to do to follow up when you get back to the office to send somebody a new file or whatever it might be. So, you know, when we talk about what can ERP systems do to accelerate your business growth, there's just so many things that incorporate, like you just talked about these efficiencies in our productivity and making better decisions more timely, more proactively than reactively. You know, being able to be flexible, but also handle the increased workloads. And ultimately this saves companies money, right? By these efficiencies. I just think that you're going to end up by streamlining all of your processes within the company. It's going to end up with better customer satisfaction and ultimately, again, accelerate your growth and your success.
Awesome. That's really helpful. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And you give me an opportunity to get back at my annoying cousin too. So, you know, that's awesome. All right. So Roger, we're done with our little role playing here. We hope you guys had a little bit of fun with that. We sure did. And I'll turn it back over to you, Roger, see if there's any Q&A questions.
Sure, yeah. Yep, if you want to ask a question, just put it on the chat, the webinar chat, or raise your hand. And if you fellow learners, yeah, just raise your hand or ask through through the chat, please. If you put up your hand, we'll unmute you so you can talk and ask a question directly. I guess you guys are really good, you know, and there's no questions. So one thing I saw in Acumatica that's kind of interesting.
Actually, Roger, there's one there from Rebecca.
Okay.
Before we get started. Do you see that there?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you tackle it.
So the question is, can we edit the GL transaction after it's been posted? So
if I'm not mistaken, I think the way you do is reclassify that, right, Staci?
Yeah. So in the if it's done with a journal entry or if it's done with accounts payable, two classic examples. After it's been posted, there is an option. If you go back to the transaction, you can completely reverse the transaction, or you could do a reclassification on any one part of that. And that's another area of Acumatica that I think is also again feeding into that satisfaction level, because you know it's forgiving, and it, you know, as accountants, we're busy, we you know, we're putting things in fast. Sometimes I can tell you, back in my accounting days, I've entered a ton of journal entries backwards. My debits were credits and my credits were debits, and so there's definitely there's some forgiveness built into the system that allows you for the ease of fixing and changing things as needed.
And I'll jump in as the IT security person here. That is based upon your role, right? So if you have a role and you have permissions to do that, you can, but maybe another person wouldn't have permissions to do that.
And there's a question from Glenn. Does job cost track multi-year and can invoice out of job costing?
Oh, okay. Job costing stuff. When you say job costing, do you mean projects or do you mean manufacturing? What's the scenario? You think are you going to have them type, or they can ask?
Yeah, Glenn, is it a project type job costing or manufacturing?
Projects.
Projects, yeah.
So yes, Glenn, our construction project space, sometimes we have people who are interested in Acumatica for a project accounting role where they can track internal costs for things, but maybe it's not a billable project. So you've got those internal projects where you're just tracking costs for that. And then you've also got those billable projects, which would be like a construction project. Maybe you're a mechanical contractor and you go out and you do field service and you've got time and materials and things like that. But to your question, yes, all of the job costing projects can be open from year to year. So yes, multi-year. And can you invoice out of job costing? Absolutely. Our job costing is definitely very, very thorough, and it's kind of a one-stop shop for all things that happen in the projects. You're going to track your budgets, you're going to track your actual costs, you're going to be able to review your income to your expenses, look at those variances, drill into the transactions as to why something might have gone awry, be able to look at those labor hours if they're charged to the job. You're going to be able to track your subcontract commitments and your purchase orders within the job itself, which also is adds value to cash flow planning. You're also able to manage change orders within the project, and you're going to do your invoicing out of the project. You're also able to manage lien waivers and handle the compliance, like certificates of insurance. When those go expire, you get warnings. So the project hub is very, very integrated and great. Kelly, US banks and wire payments. Yes, when we do let's say you do a check run in accounts payable and you have a check run itself where you issue certain checks, because you have some that still want the live check to come in the mail, and then you've got those who want those ACHs sent over, the wires and whatnot. Once you finish that process, it's going to produce an export file. That export file will be sent to the bank to initiate those wire payments or those ACH payments. As far as the connection to the US banks, we do have that in our bank feeds section, where if you're looking to download transactions and do reconciliations, and you can also connect with your credit card companies as well to handle all of those transactions there. So there is a connection to the banks for reconciliations on the reconciliation side. Otherwise, it's an export file that you would send to the bank for doing the payments themselves. Financial statement consolidation functionality. You know how I showed you folks the multi-company, multi-branch? You're able to run reports by branch or consolidated and toggle between the two. So yes, that we do have the ability to manage those reports based on consolidations and breakouts as well.
And there was a question from Rebecca. Does it work with third party? For example, we create an order for a customer, then need to send the request to our warehouse to ship the items. Can we do this automatically in the software?
The assumption is that Acumatica is both your sales order process and also your warehousing. So if it's in the same system, that's seamlessly built. But I don't know if that doesn't sound like maybe that was the question.
Yeah, it sounds like it's,
yeah. I was going to say, if it's some type of a third-party warehouse, maybe that runs their own system, Acumatica does run on an open API. So if there are necessary integrations that you need to integrate with other softwares for whatever reason, and you don't want to handle all of it within Acumatica, then those integrations are always possible, and that you would definitely work with Roger and his team on making those connections happen.
Yeah, I understand there's an integration with 3PL as a third-party warehouse, and I think there's some other ones there as well. So maybe if anybody has more questions, they can email us. If you'd like to see something more specific on Acumatica, we're definitely interested in. We could arrange a special demo on that, special use case demo. It's more for a general demo and ability to just get a look into Acumatica. I'll just move on. We just got a minute left. So I have a surprise quiz. Is everybody ready? So you'll just have to type into the chat the answer. The first one to type the answer in, we've got a $50 gift card for Starbucks. And so I'm sure you're all excited and you have memorized everything that was presented. But how many industry editions does Acumatica offer? Okay, Daryl was first, so he wins 5. Daryl will get that to you after the call. Good job. So just moving on, you're invited. Everybody's welcome to the Acumatica Summit. It's on January 26th to 25 at the Wynn Hotel. And I've got a limited number of free passes. So if you'd like to go, please reach out to me and I'll try to arrange a free pass for you. It's very informative. Everybody's there, partners, customers, Acumatica people, press. And it's very interesting, full of information, sessions of different sorts, different industry editions, different APIs, platform, and quite a few of the vendors are there as well that integrate with Acumatica, like Procore, SPS Commerce, and so on. Third-party shipping as well. Those people are there as well. Shopify, BigCommerce. It's quite an informative summit. Everybody's trying to learn and understand Acumatica a little bit better, the industry, the software. Just a lot of fun. So ready, set, go. If you want more information, want us to look at something, typically we have a process. We take an Acumatica opportunity and put it through a certain, through our process to see if Acumatica is the right fit. What kind of addition do we need? What kind of costs are we looking at? We can get some preliminaries done fairly quickly within 2-3 hours. We can get an idea of the ballpark, the costs, the kind of addition, the kind of features it'll have. What we call an initial solution and pricing. We can put together in 2-3 hours or so. So please feel free to reach out to us on that. We'll send a copy of the recording via email. Also, you'll receive your lunch card. There'll be a gift card be sent out for lunch, so you can order in lunch from there. I think I'll end it there. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for everything. Talk to you soon.
Thank you very much.